So for me, I always look at it as I would not be where I am in life if other people didn't extend an olive branch to me. I am super grateful because as much education I've had, and experiences that I've had, most importantly, I had people that bet on me and saw my potential before I even saw my potential. So as I continue to grow in my career, one of the things that is really important to me is lifting others up and bringing people along with me. So I think it is super important. And I would argue that I haven't been able to accomplish anything that I've been able to accomplish in the industry without people beside me, without people alongside me, helping me do it. These accomplishments didn't come alone. It wasn't a Rashida accomplishment. It was really a team accomplishment. And so for all of those accomplishments, I can name 5, 10 people that helped me to make that accomplishment possible. And as I continue to achieve, for me, I want others to know that they can achieve. Early on in my career, for example, I would have never shared that my mom was a teen mom because I didn't think that society would accept me. I didn't think that I would be able to have a seat at the table, but now I do share it. You know why? I share it because I want other little girls and little boys to know that regardless of your circumstances, that you can build from them. And you can take whatever resources that you have present in your life, whatever opportunities that you have present in your life, and finesse it into greatness. And so I want others to see that I didn't have a lot when I was growing up, right? My mom didn't even know what an engineer was when I told her I wanted to be an engineer, but I'm an engineer today because of her faith, because of tenacity, because of resources and others that sowed into my being.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. How does all this inform? I mean, you clearly, you talk about other people are such a critical part of the journey. How does this inform your leadership and mentoring and advocacy style?
Very much. For me, I think that sort of 3 things come to mind. One is I always say, you should build from your circumstances, like I said before. A lot of times when I mentor folks, I said, look, there's absolutely no point in humming and hawing about what's present and what's not. Take the resources that are present and finesse them into your greatness. I think that's really important because we're all going to have our circumstances, but we got to take ownership to build from it. And so I think that is really, really important. I think as I mentor folks as well, being unapologetically tough is really important. And I learned this from my mom, right? Because it allows you to set a high bar for yourself, which allows you to be uncomfortable, which then allows you to grow. And so many people that who have worked with me will tell you that I have very high expectations because I believe that the work that we're doing has the opportunity for high rewards. But I'm going to give it to you straight. And I think that's important because that's how, in having those uncomfortable conversations, you grow and you develop, but you do it in a way where you provide deep care and support for others. And I think the last thing, which I'm a big proponent of in my mentoring and my leadership, is really having your own vibe. And this is something, quite frankly, I learned later on in my career over the last couple of years, because now you cannot meet me and not know that I grew up in the Virgin Islands. You cannot meet me and not know that I'm proud of my culture. You cannot meet me, right, and know those things. You can't meet me and not know that me and my mom, we had a tough time, right? And I find that many times as leaders, we are taught to be cookie cutter, but my experience and my culture and the struggle that my parents, my mother and my father went through so I can have the opportunity today taught me that nuance is actually your differentiator. Yeah. And that's my story with the roses, the flaws, the nuance. It's my story. So I think it's really important for us to recognize that leadership is not about being cookie cutter. It's about bringing your nuance, bringing your differentiator to your table, and bringing your vibe to the forefront.
I mean, let's be clear. Plastic fake Rashida doesn't give me, I don't trust that person, right? I trust this Rashida, right? It's human, it's real, and it makes me feel like I can be more real myself, which is beautiful. Obviously, you went through the period of life where it's like perform, work hard to leading, and that, which is clearly you're so thoughtful in your leadership, but now you are also on corporate boards. Can you talk, and the board of Girls Inc., which is a big deal board too. Like, what are the things that you found that you needed to hone in yourself to serve on boards? And is there anything that you feel like you uniquely bring in that authentic, beautiful self?
One of the things is, as I built my career, I sort of built what I call a T-shaped career: breadth, but as well as depth, right, across the board, which is a unique differentiator for me. I mean, when I started IBM, I was in the PC company. So I've had an opportunity to work in hardware technology, on the software side of technology, as well as services technology, but then also doing different functional roles: product development, leading development teams, building services team, leading large sales teams. And that gives you a perspective and empathy of a variety of different functions. So as I'm engaging with development teams today, right, I know the challenges from their perspective that they're going through, and how I need to talk to them, how I need to engage with them, how we can come to the right frame of mind in terms of us executing, our goals together. Or I tell folks, I have been in sales, right? In a pure sales where I have a quote, I understand what that means. I understand how to be able to drive priority in terms of our go to market. And so I think that the experiences, the collective of cross-pollination of experiences that I've built up over the years has really given me a good perspective of having general management, general governance experience to be able to see things from multiple perspectives, which I think is important in sitting on a board. Because in a board role, as you know, you're not hands-on, right? But it's what are the right levels of curiosity? What are the right levels of perspective that you're able to have to be able to guide, to be able to coach, right? To be able to see the things that are unseen when you're living it every day. And I think my cross-pollination of experiences has allowed me to have multiple perspective and views of that, where I can look at it not just from one standpoint of here's a development view, or here's a sales view. I actually have that breadth and depth where I'm able to understand, see those signals from all those angles and bring to the board.
Well, and you worked in the largest, most powerful companies in the world. I mean, you clearly bring to your board perspective also this sort of almost like different cultures and stages, right? IBM, then Microsoft. That must have been a really big transition. Were there things that you found in making that switch? You were at IBM for a very long time.
Yeah, I was at IBM for 20 years before coming to Microsoft. And I had a fabulous career at IBM, right? To your point, even my international experience at IBM, I did 2 international assignments at IBM. I spent a year in China in the early days, actually, right? When we were starting that globalization phase. I remember that living in Hong Kong and commuting to Shenzhen on a daily basis as we were driving our globalization efforts. And then several years later, I went to Bratislava, Slovakia, as we were transforming our services and maintenance business. So even my international experience has allowed me to bring that perspective and that lens as companies look at how do we scale, how do we expand, the dynamics and profiles of our customers, right? Or even sometimes when folks talk about Europe, I tend to say doing business in the UK is very different from doing business in Spain, right? It's very different from doing business in Germany. It's not monolithic. And I have that experience firsthand. It's because it's interesting to travel there for a meeting. And it's very different when you are there working, you're building talent, you're building an organization, right? And you're working with all those constituencies in that local ecosystem. I'm really grateful for IBM for giving me that opportunity, because IBM really informed a lot of the experiences and thought processes overall that I have today, and which has allowed me to bring that strength and capability to another growing company like Microsoft. And so for me, it's been a fantastic move. And like many people, when I made that move, it was during COVID. You kind of have an opportunity to take a step back, to think. And, for me, it was just about difference, right? I'd done so many different roles across IBM. I think I had 12 to 13 roles before I left IBM. So done a lot of different things, built a great network, even sort of worked in a startup in IBM as we co-created and brought Watson to life from research to commercialization. And I was just ready for a different challenge, right?
Yeah.
To just grow my muscles in a different way, as well. And a great opportunity at Microsoft presented itself. And I said yes to the dress, as you would say.
Yeah, nice.